the IDF has resumed their ground operation in Gaza after Benjamin Netanyahu warned Israel will now act against Hamas with increasing military strength. Aid organisations in Gaza warn that the population there is facing a humanitarian catastrophe. Richard Pater is director of the Britain-Israel Communications and Research Centre, which works on behalf of Israel in the UK. Richard also served in the IDF. Richard, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on.
It's very good to speak to you. So when we consider where things are at in the conflict in Gaza, this is a new chapter, but it's also a return to what we had seen pre-ceasefire, I suppose. Will this be in any way different as far as you can make out?
It's a good question, and I think it's a little bit too early to understand. I think it's important to appreciate that the context of this latest round in the fighting comes after Hamas refused the US brokered offers in the diplomatic channels, the negotiations to release the remaining 59 hostages that have been there for over 530 days in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. They're looking to release some of the heavyweight terrorists in Israeli prisons. But as a result of the failure of that process, Israel is now ratcheting up the military pressure, trying to induce the pressure on the ground of Hamas to bring them back to the negotiating table. That's, I think, the overriding strategy.
Yeah, I suppose, Richard, does the strategy work? I'm trying to think back to, again, the kind of previous phase of all of this, and it took a long time, as we saw, for any sort of ceasefire really to be implemented. Of course, there were temporary ones along the way, but I mean, in terms of this actual latest ceasefire effort, does the strategy work?
The jury's still out. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, the IDF are under new leadership now. El Zamir, the new chief of staff, they've replaced the head of Southern Command, the head of the intelligence. So all of that is now being led. The idea is that unlike previous rounds, they're going in simultaneously across various areas. We understand that it's based on intelligence to put the precise pressure of Hamas, the leadership, both the political leadership that remains and military commanders. They're the focus of this operation. So I don't think we're talking about the same time frame as last time. I don't think anyone is looking for that. But it's too early to see if the results will be effective.
Yeah. How important is it that the White House said that President Trump fully supports Israel's recent actions in Gaza? Also that Hamas terrorists chose to play games instead of releasing all the hostages. President Trump had previously suggested that there would be some sort of serious military intervention if Hamas did exactly this, not release all of the hostages.
Right. I mean, I think that's an important distinction between this time and last time, that the American support and the position of the Trump administration is vastly different, both in terms of the diplomatic cover that they're prepared to give Israel and potentially the supply of weapons. I'll just remind you that kind of Israel is also in several other active theatres, a multi-front campaign. I was here 2 nights ago, having to run to a shelter at 4 a.m. because of rockets being fired, missiles being fired from Yemen. Israel is still operating in Lebanon and in Syria and in the West Bank. And I think there's also an element of diplomatic progress there as well. They've got the new monitoring mechanism in Lebanon. I understand from sources in the Israeli government that they are very keen to support the new Lebanese government, and hopefully that the Lebanese government is the one that has the power to push out Hezbollah. So I think in the longer term, there is actually some small shoots of optimism in terms of normalization in the region and hopefully peace.
In terms of the talks towards trying to end this war, Hamas said talks with mediators to halt the offensive are ongoing, but there has been sort of changes, I suppose, within Israel's security cabinet. It postponed a discussion about the hostages. Instead, it was voting on firing the Shin Bet chief Ronan Bar. Thousands protested against his dismissal near Netanyahu's residence in Jerusalem as well. I'm trying to just get a grip, Richard, on the mediation, on the ceasefire negotiations. Are they up and running to any meaningful effect?
No, not while the guns are firing Gaza, but on the issue of the Shin Bet, this is an incredibly tense and difficult moment for Israeli politics and society. The government voted last night unanimously to remove the head of the Shin Bet Internal Security Service. And on one level, Israel is a democracy. It is the right of the elected levels to remove an unelected security figure, especially someone so clearly associated with the intelligence failure of October the 7th. But of course, doing this whilst the fighting is still unresolved and still ongoing, and also within there is also the background investigations, very serious allegations against the Prime Minister's office, that there is a personal element to this as well, hence the protests and concern.
Richard, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us this morning. Richard Pacer, the Director of the Britain-Israel Communications and Research Centre.